Welcome to the breakdown where we break down all the messed up shit. My name is Spooky, and so in the last video that I uploaded, the top comment thread was talking about a film called Concrete. I've been holding it off for a while, and that's because I had a pretty anxious moment. Concrete is a film based on the murder of Junko Furuta, easily one of the most saddest and disturbing murder cases I've ever heard of. So if it's not obvious, the film is based on her case, showing the delinquents and their social conditions first, before culminating with their torture and murder of Junko. I think it's fair to say that the murder of Junko has inspired countless extreme films, especially when adolescents are the sick and twisted. This isn't a complete factual way that things went down. It's just simply a retelling similar to The Girl Next Door is a retelling of Sylvia Liken's murder. So, if you want to see what happens, including all the messed up parts, stay tuned for the breakdown. Cue the Gohan. Concrete begins with a quote, "Youth is blessed only in that it holds the promise of a future." It next states that crimes committed by juveniles have grown ever more heinous. The story we will see will involve young people who lost their touch on reality and acted according to their basest desires. Some teens are moving a barrel of concrete, believing that no one will ever pay any mind to it. Then, we cut back to the past. A young guy named Tatsuo is called in to be bullied by people in his little judo team. They are extra jealous that he won a tournament. He beats them up pretty good at first, but soon gets overwhelmed. After his ass whooping, his mother desperately wants to call for help. She's considering everybody who could help, even the police. He just wants to stubbornly handle his own problems, and gets into an argument about her not really caring about him. Yeah, I see. I mean, if I were bullied and my mom says, "Oh, what happened? We have to call the police. We have to get help." Yeah, she doesn't care. She don't care at all. What a B word. That was sarcasm, y'all. He puts his hands on his own mom. And get this, because she doesn't show that she cares. All right. He quit school, working at some kind of towel placing company. He is trying to raise money so he can convince his girlfriend's mom here to agree to their marriage. This is his girlfriend's mother, who has trouble even talking to her kids. They both leave just because they don't get what they want. This kid here has a name, but I'll just call him Minato. Sometime later, Tatsuo gets in trouble with the police. His boss from his towel placing job helps him out though. Probably the only person he likes at all. He doesn't respect his family at all, and he beats on his mother randomly. He says girls need hitting sometimes. His boss stages a little intervention, but Tatsuo keeps insisting that this B word ain't done shit for me. You know, Tatsuo, you have a fucking roof over your head. Shelter. I think ass whoopings come in handy sometimes, y'all. Sometimes you need a good whooping to see the light. Sometime later, Tatsuo is at work, but some overconfident bullies in flashy suits bully everybody. This must be the Dojima family. One of them, Shimada, is an old friend of Tatsuo. Shimada is just a rank and file member of his little Yakuza family at the moment, and reaches out to the patriarch or the chief to see if Tatsuo can accompany them. He wants Tatsuo to join the Yakuza, walk with your head high, get money and girls. So I'm sure this is like a cabaret club or a hostess club, but the Yakuza, they flex their status, and he might definitely want to join their little ranks due to the reputation they carry. His girlfriend though doesn't agree with him getting money in a sneaky way, only seen by Yakuza members. Honestly, she's kind of hard to read. Like at this moment, she's like, she doesn't want him to be a Yakuza member, but at the same time, she's fucking sniffing glue. Like what? Like what is your stance on anything? Tatsuo soon begs under the patriarch to see if he can leave the family. If you play Yakuza 0, you know the only way you are leaving the Yakuza is by death. And Tatsuo bitch ass ain't got hands like a dragon. Tatsuo just sits awkwardly among his fellow members, knowing he won't be leaving anytime soon. Sometime later though, he is chosen to lead and organize his own gang called the Ryujin Gang. Tatsuo is the chairman and recruits Ozaki with the brown hair here and the blonde Ikeda to join his ranks and get some others to join. Remember Minato here? Well, I guess Tatsuo is dating his sister who doesn't live in his house, but they bum rush his house and recruit Minato against his will. They also make his little room their base of operations, despite the fact that Minato's parents are downstairs. The Ryujin gang does criminal acts like stealing purses and money. They imagine that maybe high school girls may be an easy mark. That's what we can see here, them chasing some students through a field, bullying them and even ripping their clothes off. The Ryujin gang is just a juvenile club used to gather money to the higher ranked Yakuza. Soon, they start kidnapping high school girls. Tetsuo rapes one while the others sit and watch, but they let the girl go after. They do this for countless girls. The weird thing is that the girl does call the police. The boys get questioned, but they get let off the hook because they denied everything. The cops are worthless, they say. It's hard to count how many girls they actually decide to kidnap and rape. Tonight though, is the start of 44 Days of Hell. The gang often sits on their little scooters and observe for girls to kidnap. They see one girl cycling home from work and decide to follow. Her name in the movie is Masaki, but I'll just call her Junko. Akeda rides alongside her and knocks her down. Tetsuo comes along pretending to be just a helpful person and helps her up and walks her home a bit. She lives pretty far off though and doesn't trust him, so tries to get him to stop walking with her, but he just admits that he's a big bad Yakuza who will kill her and her family if she doesn't tag along. He drags her into some kind of hotel and rapes her. After, he forces her to follow him to a park where he meets up with Akeda and Minato. They sit and watch her as Tetsuo goes home to sniff glue. When Tetsuo doesn't come back, they just decide to hide her in their little base of operations, which is Minato's room, and she is raped again in the bathroom after pleading to be let go. Tetsuo brings out the entire group to see the girl he has kidnapped. One of the first things they do is stick foreign objects inside her. If you can see it in her hands, then they are probably raping her with it. She becomes detached from it all. The next day, they talk about letting her go, but decide to keep her so they don't get arrested. They are serial rapists and criminals that the police are familiar with, but haven't caught them in the act yet. Tetsuo is the most physically abusive of the group, beating her for no reason at all sometimes. He also scares the other members into doing stuff to her sometimes, but they are still demons in their own right. To cover for themselves, he makes her call her mom, saying she will be at a friend's place for a few days. During these first days, she spends a lot of time trying to win their trust before asking to be let go. But like I said, everybody is scared of what Tetsuo will do to them. Junko gets the courage to do things when they aren't watching her though, like call the police quickly when they are asleep. She can't give enough details though, other than help me, because they hear her. She runs away, but is caught and dragged back in, and the police on the line are told that it was all a prank. This is the mother of Minato, I think. She and the entire family is too scared to talk back to their son and his friends, like ridiculously scared. The mother does try to help Junko another night though, but she runs into Akeda and gets dragged back in again. As punishment, they put lighter fluid on her leg and light her ablaze. So, we are getting into the final moments. Not to mention that I'm probably skipping a lot of scenes because I don't feel like saying that they did this or they did that. She's beaten a lot and loses control of her bladder and bowel control. And of course, some things they do are kinda unspeakable. Also, keep in mind that the movie didn't show everything that happened to her, not at all. Soon they discover that she died. It causes panic in the group, and one of them decides to fight back against Tetsuo, the little bully they were scared of. Tetsuo was like the mom figure in The Girl Next Door, but I don't get why the guy that's fighting Tetsuo didn't grow a pair 44 days ago. People are too damn scared of an ass beating. They definitely didn't plan on killing her, but they decide to get rid of her body by stuffing it in a barrel and filling it with wet concrete. Hence the title of the film. They roll it far off into a field where I honestly think it's a possibility that Junko could have never been discovered, at least not immediately. This is the reason why we do know of Junko's murder though. The police take Tetsuo in for custody for all the accusations against him. The police also think that he might have murdered a family. They ask him, "So, you actually murdered two?" It's an ambiguous statement, but Tetsuo believes that they know about Junko and he tells on himself. The police are baffled, of course, not expecting him to admit to murdering a high school girl that they didn't think was related. And so, that's basically the end of the film. Keep in mind, this wasn't a full factual retelling. I'm telling you what happened in the film, not the case, so things are different. I'll get more on that later. Let's just talk about it and that spooky stuff. The four main murderers are walking about, as you hear me. They've been released. They're living on without any sign of remorse. It's probably one of the most disgusting things I've ever heard. For starters, not to quote Hiroshima, my love, but you saw nothing. This film is like the Nick Jr. version of what happened to Junko. I think it's honestly unimaginable to think of what she went through. And it's all because she was in the wrong place and the wrong time. She was literally just riding home from work. And being a pretty teenager got her kidnapped and tortured for over a month. And then they have very lenient sentences because they were all under 18 and they don't feel a single ounce of remorse. In fact, they brag about what they did now. The amount of despair I just read off is just painful. I just want to make a little video to go ahead and get through this film. I know it's a bit tough. I do think it's great that we can look back on this case and remember her at least. I don't think Junko got any justice for what she went through. And it might be a good idea to take a moment of silence just for a few seconds. I'll probably revisit this case once again if I do a recap on the comic that Uzuka Waita made. But otherwise, thanks for watching this video. If you want to learn more about this case, other than what I've told you, check the links out in the description. Thanks for watching. Spooky out.